So today we will discuss about instrumental deliveries. So operative vaginal delivery refers to a procedure where a mother is assisted in the delivery of the fetal head through the vagina by using either any of the instrument. The commonly used instruments that we use are forceps or vacuum. Incidence of operative vaginal delivery globally is 5 to 10%. But when compared to olden years, definitely the incidence of operative vaginal delivery has decreased because cesarean section has become a much safer operation now. What are the types of instrumental delivery? As I have already told, one is forceps and the second is induced or also called vacuum. First of all, the outlet forceps. This is a diagram showing the outlet forceps. First of all, I will be describing generally about forceps. The forceps have got two halves. It is having a locking system where the two blades are locking. And each blade will consist of a fenestrated blade. There will be a shank, then a locking system, then a handle and a finger guard where we are keeping the fingers. And it has got two curves. That's a cephalic curve, that's the inner part which is against the fetal head, and the pelvic curve, that is a longitudinal curve which is along the direction of the pelvis. And there is a locking system. Wrigley's, there are different types of forceps. In olden days, when cesarean section was not safer, obstetricians were very much well trained in instrumental deliveries. And in those days, there were different types of forceps were used at different levels. So the forceps delivery was classified into high forceps, low forceps and outlet forceps. But in modern obstetrics, most of the obstetricians, and it's accepted that only outlet forceps is now acceptable. That is what I will be discussing, what is outlet forceps. So there are different types. The name of the outlet forceps that we commonly use is Wrigley's. Then there is a Simpson's. It's also similar to outlet forceps. Then there is another forceps called Kielen's forceps. It's also not used nowadays. It was used especially in occipito posterior. It is usually applied at the mid-pelvic level and it can rotate the fetal head. When compared to vacuum, forceps will not produce rotation of the fetal head. But this is a Kielen's forceps which can produce also rotation. Then there is a forceps called the Piper's forceps. It's a long handle. This is used for the breech, that is after coming head of breech. We can use either the Piper's or ordinary outlet forceps with a small blade. Then the high forceps, that is axis traction forceps, Milne-Morris axis traction forceps. But in modern obstetrics, only outlet forceps is used. So this is a diagram showing a Piper's forceps, showing a long handle and a small blade. So what are the criteria to be satisfied for applying an outlet forceps? The scalp should be visible at the introitus without separating the labia. The fetal skull should have reached the pelvic outlet. The sagittal suture should be in the anteroposterior diameter. The head is at the perineum. Rotation does not exceed 45 degree. That is, it should be less than 45 degree. The sagittal suture should be or less than 45 degree from the anteroposterior diameter. The cervix must be fully dilated and membranes must be ruptured. Bladder should be empty. And informed consent should be taken for every instrumental delivery. So coming to the indications. These indications are common for vacuum and forceps. We can classify them into maternal indications, then fetal indications, then to cut short the second stage, we call it as a prophylactic indication, prophylactic forceps. So what are the maternal indications? Are a prolonged second stage when the mother is usually getting exhausted. She is not able to strain. The commonest fetal indication is non-reassuring fetal heart rate. And then also for malpositions like a direct occipito posterior where you will be getting a face to pubis delivery. Then to cut short the second stage, as in heart disease complicating pregnancy, severe preeclampsia or hypertension, previous cesarean, that is when you are keeping a patient with a previous cesarean for TOLAC, trial of labor after cesarean. Then patients with the myasthenia gravis where there is a muscle power is weak. What are the contraindications for forceps? Unengaged head, an unknown position. Bleeding disorders and a suspected CPD. This prematurity, it's a mistake. It's actually a contraindication for vacuum, not for forceps. For a premature baby, we can use forceps. The complications of forceps are perineal injuries, vaginal and cervical tears, then puerperal endometritis. Then fetal complications are injury to the face, facial nerve palsy, intracranial hemorrhage, and cephalhematoma. Coming to vacuum, it's also called Ventouse. It was first devised by Malmstrom in the year 1953. Here, what we are doing is a negative pressure screen between the cup and a fetal scalp by a vacuum pump, and then traction is applied using a chain which is attached to this vacuum cup. And here the vacuum, the main difference between forceps is that it is producing rotation of fetal head. It produces traction. There is some descent also. The cups that we are using are of two types. It can be metal cups or soft silastic cups. Olden days the vacuum cups were mainly made up of metal, but now we have got this type of silastic cups of different sizes, small, medium and large size. The difference between this material is that with soft cups it will be less traumatic to the mother and the fetus, but it's more likely to fail. So, and the chance of scalp injuries to the fetus is very less. In a case of occipito anterior position, this is better because the head will be at a lower level. But when it's a rigid cup, it is less likely to slip. So the failure rate will be less. But will be producing more subgaleal hematoma, more injuries to the fetal scalp. Especially for occipito posterior, when head is at a high level, this can be used. What are the prerequisites for vacuum? The presentation must be cephalic, that is in forceps we can use for the aftercoming head of breech, but here only for cephalic. Head must be engaged +2 or below. The cervix should be fully dilated. There should not be any cephalopelvic disproportion, and bladder must be empty. This engagement of the head we are making out by doing the second pelvic rib. That is the most important criteria, is that per abdomen no pole of the fetal head should be palpable. That means head is engaged. In such cases you can put a vacuum. The pudendal block is usually given. The cup must be applied at the flexion point. Check all around to ensure that the cervix or vagina is not trapped in the cup. Then a negative pressure is created using the vacuum pump initially up to 0.2 kg per centimeter square. Then again look for if any vagina or cervix is trapped inside the cup. Then it is gradually increased to 0.8 kg per centimeter square. And during the time of contraction of the mother only you have to give traction. And while giving traction, the left hand is placed over the cup and it's firmly pressed against the fetal head. And with the right hand you are giving traction. It should be in the direction of the birth canal. And before that, I have the application of forceps I have discussed. You can see during your postings, or usually there are two types of application, but it's cephalic application and pelvic application. That is, when we are applying along the curvature of the pelvis, it is pelvic, but directly on either side of the head, it is cephalic. Nowadays we can use cephalic application, and usually the first blade that we put is a left blade. So the left blade, we can directly apply on the left side of the fetal head, or you can apply you can go on the posteriorly and then come to the left. And after applying the left blade, the assistant is asked to hold the left blade. Then the right blade is also introduced under the guidance of the hand of the obstetrician. It is directly applied to the right side of the fetal head. And then after that, if it is a correct application, the two blades will easily lock. If you are not able to lock the two blades, that indicates improper application of the forceps. Then once the blades are correctly locked, the traction should be given. Here not much traction is given. You have to just deliver out the fetal head because the head is actually in the outlet. So I just an upward pull, they will be able to deliver out the head. When we compare the forceps with the vacuum, first of all, the advantages of vacuum. The cup does not occupy any space in the pelvis, but forceps is a space occupying device. So it is more likely to produce injuries in the pelvis, either cervical tears, vaginal tears. But for vacuum, the main advantage is maternal injuries are less. So it is more maternal friendly, and also birth injuries are also less. But actually, when we compare forceps and vacuum, the fetal problems are more with vacuum, especially a high vacuum. Disadvantage of vacuum are that there's a high failure rate, especially when the position of the head is slightly high. At a high vacuum, the slippage is there. Then vacuum cannot be used for preterm. And there is a high risk of subgaleal hematoma, cephal hematoma, and especially in a big baby or macrosomia, whenever you are applying a vacuum, there is a possibility of shoulder dystocia. The reasons for cup detachment can be a faulty application because of a large caput, then faulty direction of traction, then cephalopelvic disproportion. A sequential use of vacuum and forceps in order to advise. That is, initially applying vacuum, then once the cup is slipping and it has little more, then applying forceps in order to advocate.